At 70 years of age, Bruce Willis, the cherished star who once epitomized bravery and fortitude on the silver screen, is now navigating one of the most poignant chapters of his life. For many decades, audiences revered him as the indomitable hero of Die Hard and a multitude of other cinematic works where he consistently triumphed. However, today, this same hero is engaged in a struggle he cannot overcome. Following a devastating diagnosis that has diminished his capacity to pursue his passions, Bruce is gradually withdrawing from public life. His family remains steadfast by his side, treasuring every precious moment, while admirers worldwide grapple with the difficult reality. This is not merely the narrative of an actor. It is the heartfelt farewell of a man who dedicated himself entirely to his art and is now bidding adieu with the same quiet resilience that cemented his legendary status. Bruce Willis entered the world on March 19, 1955, in Bad Oberstein, West Germany, where his American father, David, was stationed as a member of the armed forces, and his German mother, Marlene, worked to provide for their young household. When Bruce was 2 years old, the family relocated back to the United States, establishing their residence in Carneys Point, New Jersey, a working-class community that profoundly influenced his tenacity and modesty. His parents were diligent individuals. His father pursued a career as a welder and mechanic, while his mother secured employment at a local financial institution. During his formative years, Bruce contended with a stutter that presented daily challenges in his speech. However, upon joining the school's drama club, a remarkable transformation occurred. The impediment in his speech would vanish whenever he took to the stage. Acting instilled in him a sense of self-assurance. By his final year of high school, he had risen to the position of student council president, already exhibiting the captivating presence that would define his future. Following his secondary education, he undertook various blue-collar roles, including guarding a nuclear facility, transporting workers at a chemical plant, and even working as a private investigator before ultimately recognizing his true calling beneath the spotlight. He pursued theatrical studies at Montclair State University, but departed prematurely to chase his aspirations in New York City, earning a living as a bartender in Hell's Kitchen while awaiting his breakthrough opportunity. When Bruce Willis first graced television screens in Moonlighting, which aired from 1985 to 1989, few could have predicted that the witty, wisecracking private investigator David Addison would evolve into one of Hollywood's most iconic figures of the 1980s. Vying against thousands of aspiring actors, Willis secured the role that would irrevocably alter the trajectory of his life. His rapport with co-star Sybil Shepherd ignited the screen, seamlessly blending humor and charm in a manner that felt both effortless and merited him both an Emmy and a Golden Globe Award. With the arrival of fame came lucrative endorsement deals. Willis became the recognizable face of Seagram's wine coolers, accumulating millions, although he later relinquished these endorsements when he ceased consuming alcohol. This represented a rare act of quiet integrity within an industry often characterized by indulgence. In 1988, he transitioned from television stardom to cinematic superstardom with the release of Die Hard. Portraying John McClane, an ordinary police officer trapped within a Los Angeles skyscraper, Willis transcended the typical hero role, redefining it entirely. His wry humor and inherent vulnerability imbued McClane with a humanity far surpassing that of any action figure preceding him, earning him widespread admiration from audiences globally. That same year, he showcased a more tender aspect in Blind Date and In Country, and even lent his distinctive voice to the animated infant in Look Who's Talking, demonstrating a versatility that extended well beyond explosive action sequences and witty banter. The 1990s brought both significant achievements and notable setbacks. Willis's popularity surged with the Die Hard sequels and the brilliantly unconventional Pulp Fiction, where his understated intensity lent the film its profound moral depth. Nevertheless, interspersed with his box office triumphs were commercial disappointments such as Hudson Hawk and Color of Night, which drew critical derision but were nonetheless quietly rented on VHS by fans. He navigated each stumble with a stoic sense of humor, ultimately rebounding with strong performances in films like 12 Monkeys, The Fifth Element, and the blockbuster Armageddon. The latter not only salvaged the fictional Earth within the narrative, but also revitalized Willis's own faltering career. Throughout the 2000s and 2010s, he solidified his reputation as a seasoned veteran of action cinema, appearing in a diverse range of projects from Sin City to Red to Looper. He even made a memorable guest appearance on Friends, participated in a Comedy Central roast portraying himself, and surprised Broadway audiences with a dramatic turn in Misery. His subsequent years were marked by numerous cameo appearances, voice acting roles, and nostalgic revivals of the franchises that had originally propelled him to stardom. Yet, beneath the outward bravado, there was consistently a contemplative undercurrent, a man acutely aware that his journey from a young boy struggling with a speech impediment in New Jersey to becoming Hollywood's definitive tough guy was both a remarkable anomaly and inherently transient. His life story resonates less like an action-packed film and more like a poignant, bittersweet reflection of an individual who tenaciously forged his path to stardom and has since quietly borne its weight. In March of 2022, the world was taken aback when Bruce Willis's family announced the profoundly distressing news that the legendary action star had been diagnosed with aphasia, a cruel neurological affliction that impedes an individual's capacity for communication. While his cognitive faculties remained intact, the words themselves eluded him. The man once renowned for his sharp wit and confident charisma found himself unexpectedly confined within his own silence. This was followed by an even more somber revelation. By early 2023, medical professionals confirmed that Bruce was suffering from frontotemporal dementia, a progressive neurological disorder that erodes not only speech but also fundamental aspects of a person's very essence. There was no known cure, no effective treatment, only an irreversible decline. His family was left with no recourse but to observe as the man they cherished gradually faded before their eyes. Several months later, in December of 2024, his former wife, Demi Moore, attempted to offer reassurance to fans by stating that Bruce was in a stable condition. However, this term offered little solace. Instead, it generated further uncertainty. Could stable be a euphemism for a worsening situation? By that juncture, reports indicated that Bruce could no longer construct complete sentences, had significant difficulty reading, and struggled with mobility, requiring assistance to walk or move. The very individual who had once performed his own daring film stunts now faced challenges with taking simple steps. His wife, Emma Heming Willis, candidly admitted that witnessing his speech deteriorate was an unsettling experience, particularly as she had initially failed to grasp the full extent of what was transpute. Bruce had experienced a childhood stutter, so when his speech began to alter, she initially attributed it to the resurgence of that old impediment. She could never have conceived that it was indicative of something far more catastrophic. Adding to the heartbreak, Emma disclosed that Bruce might not fully comprehend the gravity of his condition. He exists in a state of bewildering duality, aware yet unaware, present yet distant. Nevertheless, Emma has striven to imbue his days with warmth, choosing love even when the circumstances around her feel overwhelmingly unbearable. However, in August of 2025, her decision to relocate Bruce to a separate residence with round-the-clock caregivers ignited a storm of public debate. Was she abandoning him or striving to safeguard him? Emma clarified that Bruce would have desired their daughters, Mabel, who was 12 years old, and Evelyn, aged 10, to grow up in a home imbued with laughter and normalcy, rather than one overshadowed by illness. Nevertheless, this decision exacted a profound emotional toll on her. She is no longer solely a wife, she has become a caregiver, a mother, and a woman attempting to hold her family together while witnessing her husband's gradual decline. His daughters deeply miss their father. He sometimes forgets birthdays, school events, and even the small affectionate gestures that once characterized his devotion as a parent. Emma harbors concerns about the lasting impact of losing the father they knew on their development. By July of 2025, overwhelmed by a deluge of rumors and conjecture, Emma publicly addressed the situation. She implored the public to cease their judgments regarding matters they could not possibly comprehend. For behind the sensational headlines and hushed whispers lies a family clinging fiercely to love while learning the arduous process of saying goodbye. Not in a single, definitive moment, but incrementally with each passing day. Bruce Willis's deteriorating health not only shocked his admirers, but also deeply grieved those closest to him. His eldest daughter, Tallulah Willis, later shared how she had initially misinterpreted the early indicators of his illness. Before the true nature of his condition was known, she perceived her father as having become distant, perhaps even indifferent to her life. She recalled he didn't seem present, and for a period she believed his silence signified a lack of concern. The regret stemming from that misunderstanding persists. However, today, Tallulah speaks openly about it, reminding others of the critical importance of communication and attentiveness, as sometimes love can be obscured by illness. Throughout this challenging period, Bruce's family has remained remarkably close. His former wife, Demi Moore, continues to play a significant role, frequently attending family gatherings and sharing heartwarming photographs online. These snapshots offer glimpses of a family united in the face of profound heartbreak. On Bruce's 70th birthday, they all convened, a testament to the enduring power of their love, even as his memory begins to falter. However, the signs of Bruce's struggle were evident long before his diagnosis was publicly disclosed. Between the years of 2018 and 2022, he appeared in over 20 films. These were not the high-budget spectacles of his earlier career, but rather smaller, hastily produced projects conceived to capitalize on his star power. He could command substantial remuneration for mere days of work. Yet behind the scenes, the situation was far from ideal. Crew members observed that he experienced difficulty recalling his lines, understanding instructions, or even following basic directorial cues. On the set of Hard Kill in 2020, co-star Lala Kent recounted a distressing incident where Bruce inadvertently discharged a prop firearm at the wrong moment on 2 separate occasions. Fortunately, no one was injured, but the event profoundly unsettled everyone involved. The once dependable action star had become notably unpredictable. From that point onward, the production team discreetly worked to mitigate his difficulties, simplifying his dialogue and scenes to avoid any potential embarrassment. One insider confided, "We had to make him look good. He was being manipulated." Those words still carry a sting, conjuring the image of Bruce Willis, once the invincible protagonist of Die Hard, now being guided through sequences he no longer fully grasped. On the set of Midnight in the Switchgrass, director Randall Emmett reportedly encountered challenges in prompting Bruce to perform simple actions, such as kicking down a door. He required an earpiece to feed him his lines, yet even then, confusion was evident on his face. Other individuals on set described him as disoriented, at times questioning, "Why am I here?" That moment, when the man who once commanded the screen found himself questioning his own purpose, became one of the most haunting recollections for those who collaborated with him. Rumors subsequently circulated that some filmmakers continued to employ Bruce despite being aware of his condition, prioritizing profit over compassion. His name alone possessed the power to transform a modest production into a financial success. Insiders suggested that certain producers overlooked his evident decline because films featuring Bruce Willis still garnered significant sales. Conversely, some directors, such as Matt Eskandari and Jesse V. Johnson, subsequently declined to cast him again, recognizing that the repercussions were too substantial, not merely in financial terms, but also on a moral level. Beneath all of this lies a deeply unsettling question. Why did no one intervene sooner? It is possible that Bruce wished to continue working. It is also plausible that those around him had not yet fully apprehended the gravity of the situation, or perhaps within an industry driven by relentless momentum, no one possessed the knowledge or inclination to declare enough. For decades, Bruce's career was built on sheer endurance, the relentless explosions, the demanding stunts, the extended work hours. That unwavering dedication ultimately exacted a toll. Medical professionals indicate that while his condition was not directly caused by overwork, chronic stress can indeed accelerate cognitive decline. And Bruce invested everything, his energy, his physical well-being, his focus, to entertain millions. Now the spotlight has dimmed, the cameras have ceased rolling, and the hero who once saved the day is now the one being rescued by his family. There are no opportunities for retakes or script revisions in this final act, only profound love, cherished memories, and the quiet fortitude required to relinquish control. Frontotemporal dementia, the ailment that has silenced Bruce Willis, remains one of the most enigmatic and least understood neurological conditions. Unlike Alzheimer's disease, it often manifests at a younger age, progresses in an unpredictable manner, and deprives its victims not primarily of memory, but of language, empathy, and their very sense of self. Due to its relative rarity, research into FTD significantly lags behind that of other neurological disorders. However, in March of 2023, researchers at the University of Sheffield unveiled a beacon of hope, a nasal spray that could potentially, in the future, slow or even prevent certain forms of FTD. This development is still years away from human clinical trials, making it unfortunately too late to benefit Bruce himself. Yet for his daughters, who may carry a genetic predisposition, this scientific advancement could offer protection from the same cruel fate that has befallen their father. Presently, Bruce is 70 years old. His condition is classified as stable, a term that evokes both a sense of comfort and a measure of cruelty. Stable signifies that his decline is not rapid, but it also implies a lack of improvement. He exists in a precarious intermediary state where vestiges of the man we once knew occasionally flicker, but the brilliance of his presence has undeniably diminished. Emma Hemming Willis continues to serve as his steadfast guardian, or as she poignantly describes herself, his care partner. Their daughters, Mabel and Evelyn, visit him regularly at his care facility, still bringing laughter into spaces now characterized by quietude. His former wife, Demi Moore, along with their elder daughters, Ruma, Scout, and Tallulah, consistently make an effort to be present for birthdays, holidays, and the small, significant family moments that hold immeasurable value. Despite the profound challenges, the family remains united, bound not by obligation, but by an enduring love that refuses to wane. Because behind the sensational headlines and speculative gossip lies a truth that the broader public, frequently overlooks. This is not a narrative of abandonment, it is a testament to perseverance, of a wife expertly navigating the dual roles of motherhood and caregiving, of daughters mourning a father who remains physically present but is gradually slipping away, and of an ex-wife who could have disassociated herself but chose never to do so. Each member of the family cherishes a fragment of Bruce, safeguarding his memory even as it fades within him. For Bruce Willis, the man who once embodied cinematic invincibility, the fearless hero who charged headlong into explosions and peril, this concluding chapter of his life is heart-wrenchingly human. His farewell is not a dramatic, cinematic climax. Rather, it is a slow, quiet, and unbearably tender unfolding. One by one, his abilities have receded. First, his capacity for speech, then his comprehension, and subsequently, his physical autonomy. What endures is something pure and fragile, the profound love that surrounds him, the indelible memories he gifted us, and the unwavering courage of those who tend to him daily. As fans, we can honor his legacy not solely by recalling his iconic films, but by learning from his life's journey. We can advocate for increased research into FTD, lend our support to organizations dedicated to raising awareness, and engage in open dialogues about brain health, particularly within an industry that too often demands silence until it is tragically too late. We can also champion reform within Hollywood, advocating for enhanced protections for aging actors, clearer ethical guidelines concerning health-related risks, and greater compassion for those navigating struggles away from the spotlight's glare. Bruce Willis demonstrated to the world what it truly means to be a hero. Not through his on-screen exploits of saving the day, but by exhibiting extraordinary strength as his own world began to unravel. Now his legacy extends beyond his cinematic contributions. It resides in the pervasive love that envelops him, the critical awareness his story has fostered, and the poignant reminder that true valor sometimes lies in holding on firmly, even as everything else begins to slip away.